Welcome back to Clippers and Conversations. We got another haircut tutorial for y'all. Thank you for watching. If you like these kind of videos, go watch my other videos and go subscribe. I'm trying to do tutorials at least 4 times a week. I like to start my haircuts out with, I like to do all my haircuts with 5 steps. Step 1 will be consultation. Step 2 will be setting your foundation. Step 3 will be setting your guidelines. Step 4 will be blending out those guidelines. And step 5 would be your detailing, which includes your lineup. So we're gonna start with step 1, the consultation. The reason that's step 1 is because I believe that's the most important step of a haircut. If you don't know what a person wants, you can't do a good job or a good haircut. Or if you miscommunicate on the consultation, no matter how good that fade looks to you, it's a bad haircut. So how you getting your haircut?
Yeah, can I get a low taper and just clean up all around?
Okay. So are you cutting the sides down just a little bit too, like around the ears and stuff, or you just don't touch this and just taper it?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, maybe just a little bit, so it's not like
Okay. All right. So
in the ear.
are you cutting the top it off?
A little trim.
A little trim. Okay. So what he said is, if you couldn't hear him, he said a low taper. Is the skin on the taper?
Yeah.
Yeah. So low skin taper, and we're cutting just a tad bit off the sides here. It's just a slight trim on the top. Um, yeah. So that's what we're working with. So that's our consultation. What I like to always do before I start cutting is comb through the hair. What I'm doing in this phase is I'm checking for any bumps or anything I need to be aware of. I'm checking for if they have any products in their hair. You don't want to cut people's hair with products in their hair because the clippers just don't like that. It's hard to see what you're doing. The hair doesn't fall off the same way. So that's when you would recommend a wash. So now what we're doing is we're gonna just set the foundation for this cut. He's not getting much cut off around here. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna start with my 3 guard just to knock the hair around these edges down. And then that'll be the foundation. Then I'm gonna go into the setting the guidelines. I'm starting my clipper open. For those of you that don't know, open cuts less hair. The closed position cuts more hair. So we're cutting the least amount of hair as this 3 guard can cut, completely open. Notice the slight flicking motion I'm doing too at the end. The goal isn't to create a hard line, nothing here. I'm just trying to knock down some of the hair, just so we can have a good starting place. Usually when clients ask for the low taper or just a taper, um, they're usually not trying to grow out the sides too crazy still. They still want to cut down just a little bit. That's why I asked. I mean, if he would have said no, I wouldn't have touched it, but that's just one of the things you got to know as the professional. You have to know what questions to ask during your consultation. See, that's that. As you can see, what I'm gonna do on the blending phase, we're gonna blend that a little bit in, just so it can flow smoothly, have a smooth transition. I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. Then we're gonna go into setting the guidelines. The purpose of having a system like this is so that you just have a plan going into every cut. You don't get overwhelmed or confused on what you're doing. If I know, hey, I'm on step 2, I'm setting the foundation, I know what my goal is. And then when I complete that goal, I know what my next step is. That's going to be setting my guidelines. So, you always want to be kind of thinking ahead in the cut anyway, so you kind of know what you got going on next. And that helps you stay on time. For every barber, if you're doing this full time, the goal should be to be booked out. But you have to consider once you get booked out like that, you have to stay on schedule. So you don't want to be wasting time um, or getting behind on schedule and stuff like that. You want to find a way to stay on schedule. So that's where having a system comes into play. So this is the goal of these videos, not just to have you to learn how to fade, but just to teach you how to have a system and how to keep your time down, how to communicate with clients, how to remain professional. All right, that's it for setting our foundation. What we're gonna do now is go set our guidelines. He said a low taper, so what I'm gonna do is start with no guard, and we're gonna set our guideline really low. We're gonna start in the closed position. When they say low anything, I'm keeping that guideline super low. So what I like to always do, look at a facial feature. It's gonna be different for everybody, but for him, it's perfect where his eyes line up. That way I know on the other side exactly what I need to do. Somebody says something like, oh, what if they face not the same on both sides? Like, that's so rare. Like, I won't even worry about that. Like, if you see that, you'll just have common sense to know what to do. But I've been coming for 15 years, and I mean, I probably can't think of one time when that's happened. So I'm training you for the what happens more often, not an anomaly. All right, that's that guideline. Go to the other side. Same thing. Real simple. For the back, what I like to do is I like for that guideline to curve down on the edges, and that way when you line it up, it'll make that it'll be more defined when you line it up on the sides. Go down a little bit. So what you do is you start from the middle, and then on both sides, you just curve down. These are beginner tutorials, so sometimes when I'm just cutting, well, most of the time, I'm probably doing things a little different, but I just want y'all to get in the habit of having a thought process, and then you'll kind of make it your own as you go. All right, what we're gonna do now, while I'm here, we're gonna start our second guideline. So we went from the closed position, now we're going all the way to the open position to start our second guideline. Your second guideline is usually about this thick, about the width of your finger, more or less depending on what you're trying to do. Don't overthink it, just set the guideline. All right, that's that. I'm gonna do the same thing over here. Same width. Don't be afraid. We're not pushing up that fade. It's still gonna be a low fade in the end. Because when you line it up, that hair gonna pop out right there, and when we bald it, you'll see that, okay, the fade is still low. All right. All right, we're done with that step already. All right, now we in step 4, that's blended. Just like that, you're almost done. All right, so what I like to do is I like to blend down, start from my highest guard, then work my way down to my lowest guard. So my highest guard, what I'm gonna do for the highest guard for this cut is I'm gonna start with a 3, since that's what we use over here. It's 3 open. I'm gonna work my way down and blend that line out. So I'm going open and I'm flicking out. And you can kind of see how that connects with what we did right here. All the way closed now. With your higher guards, you're not gonna be doing too much in between. You're gonna be like all the way open or all the way closed. This is when you get down to your lower guards and your no guards, when you're gonna start doing more of your lever work. I'm all the way open with my 2 guard now. Just going through that line. I got it all the way closed. Then I go all the way back open. If I feel like I need to go up a little higher, I'm going all the way open and flicking out. So that's an important motion to have down. You want to be able to go up and out like that, up and out. I got my 1.5, same thing. All the way open, around that line. I go all the way closed. Next guard, 1. Same thing. So we focus on this line right here. And I'm cutting through that line. I'm not going right at the edge of the line. I'm going through it and flicking out. Now we're all the way closed. Same thing, going through that line and flicking out. Don't be afraid to cut the hair. Clients can tell when you're kind of timid cutting. So these areas where you kind of see up here, where it's still kind of dark, we're gonna go back with our thinnest shears. And you'll kind of get a understanding when to use thinnest shears from experience, looking at hair textures and stuff like that. All right, now we no guard. I'm using the corner of this clipper right here, right on the line. And then as I work my way down, I kind of flatten that blade out, right where we did that first guideline. As you see those dark spots, corner of that clipper. Now what we're gonna do while we're over here, let's go ahead and take those thinning shears and we're gonna blend in this whole section right here. So when you're using your thinning shears, what you want to do is a technique called scissor over comb. You want to keep that bottom blade still. I mean, it can shake a little bit like that, but what you don't want to do is this. That's what you don't want to do. It's hard for me. I've been doing. It's hard for me to even do it wrong, but you don't want to do that. Keeping that bottom blade parallel with that comb and just working your thumb. And just kind of work it down. Just work to cut the edges of those hairs right there. So I'm looking at his hair. His hair grows back in this direction, so that's the direction I'm combing it in, so it can lay down, so I can see the blend a little better. I see a lot of barbers dodge cuts that require scissor work. Once you get this down, this is some of the easiest cuts you'll do. So don't dodge anything you're not comfortable with. Don't dodge it. Just do it. That's how you build experience. That's how you build confidence. Because you'll know, I've done this before. I know I can get through it. You can't learn from dodging work. Okay. I'm satisfied with that for now. And on the detailing phase, we'll come back to it and detail it and stuff. All right. What we'll go ahead and do is we'll come back to the back and blend that last. We'll go ahead and blend this side and do the exact same steps. So again, I'm starting my 3 guard again. Flicking up at the end. This is open, completely open. Completely closed. I'm just scrubbing it just in case. All right, 2. As you get more experience with this, you'll know how to skip guards. You kind of can look at the hair and know exactly what guards you use on it. I'm kind of just going through the motions just so y'all can get used to doing that. All right, 2 guard. I believe blending down is a lot safer than blending up because you have more room for error. So that's why I always teach new barbers to blend down. I believe it saves you a lot of time too, because when you blend up, you end up doing double the work. You end up blending the same area twice. All right. Got my 1.5 on now. Completely open. Notice how when I go up in the higher area where I did before, I'm using the corner of that blade. Now I'm completely closed. Now we're down here, this area, completely open. Using the corner of that blade a lot more now. Not completely closed. As I go up, see I got the one guard, so this is where you're gonna do more in between with the lever. It won't always be completely open, completely closed. But that's just something you're gonna have to get the feel for. You're gonna work it and kind of, if you see it's not cutting, kind of go a little lower with it. And as you go up, higher into the fade, bring that lever down more. The main thing is you want to get that flicking motion. Get that flicking motion down to work that wrist. You just scrubbing the line out. Don't be stiff with it. Don't be like that. All right, that's it for that guard. Have my 0 guard. So, and it's for your guards, whatever guard you have next in that order. Somebody asked me, "Oh, do you mean the half?" And I was like, for me, it's the 0 guard, but whatever brand you're using, whatever guard is below that 1 guard, just the main point is just to work your way down until you have no guards left. And then when you get used to doing that, you get used to seeing the different lengths for different guards. You can skip around, but don't waste your time with certain guards. I started cutting before half guards was popular. There was a time when we had those guards that had the red clip. And you couldn't even adjust like that with those guards. But what that did is help us get used to floating and blending with less guards. So if you new to barbering, all these guards and all these clippers is just a privilege. There was a time before we had all this stuff. I believe my first time actually using a 1.5 guard was when I had I believe when the cordless wall seniors came out, and then they was selling the 1.5 separate, that white 1.5 guard. But before that, I know the Andes had their purple 1.5 guard, but I never had those. I used the Andes, but I never used that 1.5. I was so used to using those red clips. The barber industry has just evolved so much, and a lot of people don't realize it. All right, that's that. Let's see how that's looking. So we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna come back with our thinnest shears. Just kind of getting that in between area. It's important to do what you gotta do, then move on, because you always have a chance to come back in your detailing phase. You just want to get the majority of the cut done. Then when you go back, you can kind of take your time on that part and, get it as clean as you want to get it. But what you don't want to do is take all your time of trying to blend the fade out perfect the first time and waste all of your time. Then your next client walk in, now you got to rush that cut and didn't even finish blending on the other side. You want to get it all the way around majority done. Then once you see it through, you'll have a better picture of what you actually need to do so you don't waste time. You want to be able to see the whole picture. I'm real big on time management. There's a lot of barbers think they're supposed to be late, or the clients are supposed to want to wait an extra 40 minutes for their appointment. And there are some people that stick with you and deal with that, but there's a lot of people that won't. And the goal is to make as much money as possible, you know. All right. We're gonna do the same thing in the back. Look down real quick. All right. Don't be scared to tell your clients to look down and all of that, you know. All right. Start the same way. We're doing the exact same steps we do on the other side with our 3 open. I like to do the whole haircut videos with no edits so y'all can see the real process. It's not knocking the videos that do have edits. It's just I want y'all to see what it really takes, because a lot of times you'll see the clean fade in the end, but you don't really see what it took the person to get to that, you know. All right, working our way down, same way. Always keep that comb in your left hand, constantly combing that hair back down. All right. 1.5 guard, open. Completely closed. All right, 1 guard, closed position. Notice how I'm flicking out at the end. All right, now completely closed. Now I'm starting with my 0 open. And here with my 0, I'm gonna be working that lever. Just trying to get out of those dark spots. All right, so I'm looking at now, this bottom line. This bottom line right here. find that clipper, no guard. When you have your no guard, you're gonna be moving that lever a lot more. You want to get to the point where it's just instinct. You don't have to think about it every time you're moving the lever. So as you go up, the more you're gonna push that lever down. As you go down, the more you're gonna push it up. So it'll be just simultaneously as you go down, then as you go up. Using the corner of that blade just to work out those dark areas. The reason I use the corner because you don't want to go in this way with that. Because then what you'll do, you'll make another hard line. Another thing I do a lot of times without even thinking about it is I use my pointer finger to kind of stabilize my hand and kind of float like that when I'm going up. Alright, so I see this area right here. I'm gonna go back with my one. So like I said, when you see certain lengths, you'll just know what you need to do. I'm completely closed right now. Alright, we're gonna stop right there and take the thinner shears. You know, if y'all can see that a little bit right there, that's what I'm looking at with my thinner shears. Look down a little bit for me. If you don't have a flat top comb, invest in a flat top comb. If you don't have thinner shears, invest in thinner shears. You want to have everything you need for every situation. All right, I'm cool with that for now. What I'm gonna do is start our detailing phase. So what we do first in our detailing phase, we're gonna start with a lineup. He's not lining the front up, he likes to keep it natural, but what we're gonna do, we wanna put a line on the sides right here, then put that curve right there. And when we balding out the little hair we left for the bald taper, and line it up around. So this is why I say see it through. Because on your fade, once you throw a line on, it makes the fade come together. And then you have a better picture of what you actually need to blend and all that. Because what you might do sometimes is take all that time trying to get it perfect, then you throw the line on, and you'll see, oh man, I still gotta go back. It's still a little dark right there. That line kind of brought out, it's showing me what I need to do actually. So that's why I say save the detailing to the end. I'm not saying don't get the fade good. Now you get it good, but I'm just saying just don't take too long trying to make it perfect because you're not gonna make it perfect anyways. Until after you throw that line on, then you can see. So I flipped that clipper up and just balled out that bottom line right there. So this is why it's a low skin fade because the ball part is low. Push the air out the way with your pointer finger. Then also stabilize your hand. So that line bringing all of that together. Then you kind of see here where I curved it because it brings out this part of the line right here. Just one of those little details that make the fade pop. Balled out this little area, the bottom. What you always want to do too at the end of your cut, when you take off that neck strip, ball down at the bottom. A lot of people forget that. I don't usually show that part in the videos, but I always do that at the end of every cut. So I'm getting all these little gray hairs that's sticking up while I'm over here. And before I go to the other side, what I'm gonna do is take this, take my clipper again, get that little line right there. I see it's not coming out with my regular clipper, so I'm gonna use my liners to get that out. I see right here it's a little darker than the light. I'm gonna hit those, hit that with the thinner shears, and then that'd be it for this side. So the corner of that blade, just be on that line a little bit. Do not create a whole new line. All right, that's that. I'm cool with that. Remember, we detailing, so now you can kind of go back and try to get that fade to where you like it. See a little dark spot right here I want to get. Just using the corner of my blade. I'm kind of floating. Doing what I showed y'all earlier. I'm stabilizing my hand with my pointer finger. Some hair textures, you gotta be really careful. It's easy to blend, but it's easy to mess up too. So you gotta be real careful about what you're doing. Like, don't get carried away and mess around and it'll become a high fade by the end. I'm cool with that. We're gonna leave it right there. All right, what we're gonna do now, go to the other side. Do the same thing. We're leaving this part natural, so we're not gonna mess with that. I did kind of hit that box right there, just because of the way he styles his hair. Just clean up that box. All right, we're gonna hit this curve right here. When you're doing the curve, it's just a sliding motion. Again, I'm stabilizing my finger with my pointer finger. Stabilizing my hand with my pointer finger. And then flip it up, same way we did on the other side. Just ball out the bottom. Same thing, move the ear out the way with your fingers. On the opposite side, I use my other hand. I'm gonna get these little gray hairs that's sticking up right here. Alright, keep it going. Alright. Doing the back right here. That's that. I'm gonna come back with my thinner shears and hit this a little bit more. Nothing crazy, just a little bit. But that's pretty much it. Even with this, I'm pretty satisfied with that coming out. I might hit that just a tad bit, but nothing crazy. All right, we're gonna stop while you're ahead with that. Just clean this up a little bit. That bottom line. We pretty much done with this cut. We're gonna clean up the top. Then we pretty much done with this cut. That's how we're going with that. What I'm gonna do is put these little hairs that's sticking up to keep it natural. I'm not gonna line it, but I'm gonna just get those little hairs with my shears. That's it. What we're doing at the top, we're gonna spray with some water. You always wanna do that until you have a little more control of the hair. Come to the front. Keeping this separate right here. Combing all this hair down on the sides. Comb this hair to the front. And what you want to know how to do is this motion right here. If you're in barber school, I'm pretty sure you already got this part down pat, but scooping the hair, you do a scoop, put the comb in your thumb like that, and hold it like that, then you just trim it. That's really the only motion you gotta have down. He's getting a light trim, so I'm just gonna go through like that. And we're just dusting off the top, nothing crazy. Real quick. With certain styles, you might have to do a little more parting and all that, but you got to know the difference. They getting a fade and just just a little trim on top. You got to be doing all that parting and sectioning and all that kind of stuff. I'm not saying there won't ever be a time for that, but you just got to know the difference. Don't waste your time. The most you might have to do is, for this kind of haircut, you might have to point cut. What I mean by point cut is when you go doing this motion and just texturizing a little bit. But that's not necessary today. Eventually, I'll get a haircut where that's necessary, and I'll teach y'all that. I'm cool with what we got here. Thank y'all for watching this video. If you like this kind of content, please like and subscribe. I'm gonna let him see this and see if he wants to change anything or do anything. You good?
Yeah, man.
All right, that's all we want. We want the client. If he's happy, I'm happy, right? We're not making the haircuts look good for other barbers. You know, making it look good for the client. So, all right, thank y'all for watching. Peace.